What's up, guys? It's Dave.
And Matt.
And we are here for another GITV Uncut video. And today we have got something special for you guys. Matt and I were doing what we do in our off time and browsing the interwebs and scrolled across a pretty hilarious video from Iraq veteran 8888. 88. How many eights does that man have in his name?
Enough.
Anyway, obviously, as Airsoft fans, we're also fans of real guns, so we watched some real gun guys. And they had a hilarious video on firearm Fudd lore. And we thought, you know, there's a lot of really goofy stuff like that in the Airsoft world, too, we should talk about. So we present to you Airsoft Fudd lore. But before we get started, I think we should explain to the people what a Fudd is, since it's a much less ubiquitous term in the Airsoft world.
That is fair.
So, Matt, if you could, please explain to the people.
Well, if you're ever talking to someone, he kind of sounds like this, and, you know, he's rumbling off a bunch of stuff that don't make any sense to anyone, and you kind of look at him and go, what are you talking about? He's probably a Fudd.
If he says a bunch of things, and you could repeat it in a voice like this, and it would be satirically accurate but factually incorrect, it's probably a Fudd lore.
Yeah.
So, with that being said, we were talking a minute ago before we started filming and said, man, you know, what are some things that are super fuddy? And my favorite one that I always see come up all the time is, I gotta have the highest FPS possible. And that's not true.
Yeah.
So you can definitely have a high FPS gun. There are benefits to it, but it does not inherently make your gun better. And in fact, a lot of times if you don't do the other things to your gun to balance out for having higher FPS, it makes your gun worse.
Yeah.
We see that all the time. The guys that go, I'm gonna take my bolt action up to 550, But if you don't actually like upgrade your trigger sears and your piston and do some stuff to your hop up and inner barrel, you're gonna blow your gun up.
You get about 3 rounds, and the next thing you know, it's slam firing, and you're wondering why your gun doesn't work.
That's Fudd lore. Matt?
So, another good one that's fantastic is HPA makes everything better. Doesn't matter what it is, whether it's a pistol, shotgun, you take Bubba's hunting rifle that happens to be Airsoft and HPA because you can. You know, it doesn't make everything better. There are benefits, but it does not instantly give you a God card.
Indeed. So this is more relative to AEGs, because with gas guns, what it does do is actually fix a lot of the problems inherent with green gas.
Yeah.
So some Fudd lore is based in truth, but not accurate. In this case, with AEGs, if you take a gearbox and you rip the gearbox out, and then you put in, say, I don't know, like a Polar Star fusion engine, your gun is immediately 10 times better. And that's not inherently true, because all it does is change the way power is delivered to your BB. Does it make your gun more consistent? Absolutely. But does it give you more range natively? Not necessarily. That comes down to some other factors. And that's the big problem. The big thing we see with people coming into the store all the time is, I put HPA in my gun, but it's not shooting that much better. Like what gives? I spent $500.
You know, prime example would be like the Gen 1 Crytax when they first came out. People were actually seeing performance drops after HPA.
Yeah, because they weren't actually like aligned right. Like,
Yeah.
like you got to do a little bit more than just drop the thing in there.
Yeah.
So, my next one. This is one that is a close subject to my heart as somebody who preaches buying quality gear, and that doesn't necessarily mean spending a lot of money, but making sure that you buy the right stuff for how you're going to play with it. And that's, my nylon holster's just as good as my Kydex one. I don't need to spend all that money. That's Fudd lore. Because Kydex doesn't have to be expensive, 1. 2, you don't necessarily need Kydex, but it's more about having a holster that has good positive retention.
Yeah.
This is actually more about the guys that buy the cheap nylon holsters and don't set them up correctly, right? Like, Condor makes a nylon holster. Yeah. Condor's Tornado holster is fantastic. It is a wonderful holster. I love it. I own a couple of them. And they are great for guns that just, you can't find like a molded holster. You can't do Safariland, Black Hawk, all that other garbage. But Fudds with these nylon holsters are not making sure that they're set properly. They're not rigged up correctly. And they're intentionally just rolling around and not giving a care or concern to what's going to happen to that mag release when their gun is loose fitting. Because a nylon holster properly set up should not have a problem that a lot of nylon holsters have, which is losing mags. But they're never set up right. That's Fudd lore.
Another good one would be, you know, I don't need to bring hydration on the field. You know, I drank water the day before the event, and I've been drinking nothing but, you know, Gatorade and body armor for the past 24 hours, and I'm totally fine. Water on the field, not an option.
You know what? Or my favorite version of this one. I don't need to hydrate. It's cold outside.
Oh, Lord.
That is absolute Fudd lore.
Yeah.
Dude, it's not about how hot it is outside and the heat outside taking away your body heat. That's a factor, yes. But if you're playing a sport that is active and forcing you to use energy, your body is losing nutrients, you are sweating water, you are losing all of the electrolytes and salts and things that your body needs to function and not die of heat stroke. In fact, I would argue that I see more preventable cases of heat stroke during like the semi-cold months, like the winter time. I guess not all the people are playing, so it's less common, but like around like when it starts to get cool, like in the early spring before it starts to get really, really hot, and in like the late fall when it's starting to cool down finally here in Texas, I see more people fall out then than I do in the summer, because the guys that are susceptible to it in the summer generally don't play.
Well, or they push themselves beyond their bodily capabilities.
And they don't notice the symptoms.
Yeah, because it feels good outside, and then all of a sudden they stop, the adrenaline wears off, and then you find them laying down in the middle of the field like, you all right? And you poke them with a stick.
Wearing their big old dumb plate carrier that they overheated in, which leads me to my next point. I need this big old plate carrier to protect me from BBs, because read them son of a guns hurt. Fudd lore. Absolute Fudd lore.
Or I need a plate carrier because I have to carry a bunch of stuff. Like, also, you know, there are now modern chest rigs and systems and all that give you what you need to actually be able to carry everything that you need to go play.
But more so than that, it's not about like don't buy a plate carrier, get a chest rig. It's like just don't be an idiot and carry everything but the kitchen sink, dude. Like you're going out for a 1 hour weekend skirmish at your outdoor field. You don't need 10 MREs and a jet boil. Like leave that in the truck. Like come on.
As someone who has done that for BB Wars 1, where I had everything that I would need for like an AMS event, like.
It was unnecessary. You did not need it.
Yeah,
no.
I wanted to die.
Look at how your game is going to run for the day and plan accordingly, guys. Like, if you're going out and you're going to be in the field for 48 hours straight, Milson West status, yes, pack everything. But if you're going out for a game at the indoor field, maybe leave the jet boil at home.
Yeah.
Next one, though.
Is metal guns are inherently better than polymer.
This is one of those ones that's kind of based in fact, because like older guns, this was definitely true. Metal body guns were just made better. Because the guns back then were made of ABS plastic.
Yeah.
And ABS is very thin, brittle, like toy plastic. But metal guns nowadays are still made the same way they were back then for the most part. Like some metals have changed, but it's still cheap recycled metal a lot of the times.
Yeah.
What you would hear referred to pejoratively as pot metal. But plastics have come a long way. I mean, you remember when G&G came out with a combat machine and then it like blew everybody's mind that you could have a plastic gun that didn't snap when you accidentally tripped on it? Or Classic Army's plastics or the new Lancer Gen 2 plastics are phenomenal. All these nylon fiber guns are great. And a lot of times they're coming with metal gun, like high-end metal gun quality components. So you can get a great gun for cheap.
And they're lighter, you know, keep you in the game a little bit longer.
Which brings me to my next one, because this is also gun related. But is it, excuse me, Mr. Salesman behind the counter, is that gun lipo ready?
Well, let me tell you, Timmy.
That's Airsoft Fudd lore.
Let me tell you, Timmy. Almost every gun is lipo ready.
Pretty much. Actually, lipo ready was a marketing thing. And you can put a lipo on every gun. It'll work.
Oh, yeah.
Question is not will it. Question is how long.
Yeah.
But most modern guns are built to handle the stress that you can put under a lipo. The question is what kind of lipo and how are you playing with it.
Yeah.
So 7.4 volt lipo is roughly equivalent in power to a 9.6 volt. Yeah. Yes, there are differences, because I know there's going to be that one nerd in the comments that goes, well, excuse me, but your voltages and your discharge readings, and if I push my spectacles up and cock my face a little bit to the left, I look a little bit more deranged while I say this. Like there's going to be that one guy that leaves the comment that's like, no, you're not explaining this properly. That's not the point of this video.
Yeah.
But 7.4 volts, 9.6s, they're pretty comparable in power and the stresses they induce on a gun.
Yeah.
And 11-1s, when played correctly, or like used in a way that you know are not going to destroy, you're going to be fine.
Yeah.
The problem comes into guys buy 11-1s and then realize that they have unlimited power. And they just mag dump everybody. That's Fudd lore.
Yeah.
Fudd AF, as the kids would say. So, what's the next one on our list?
I will just use heavy BBs to go in chrono, so that way I can chrono the legal limit, but it's with a heavier BB than a .20.
So, you'll see that some fields across the country do chrono with heavier BBs nowadays. This one gets a little bit nebulous, but if your field states that they're going to chrono you on a set weight of BBs, and your gun does not meet that chronograph reading on that set of BBs, you cannot just change the type of BBs that you're shooting to meet that chronograph reading.
Like, but I run 3 2s. It's like, well, then go chrono with a .2. Make sure it's chronoing what it should be, then come back with.
Or, for a lot more companies like TCA does it off of joules now, right?
Yeah.
But they measure the joules with a set weight of BB. And the reason for that is consistency, because you have a thing called joule creep, which we won't explain because there's a lot of science there, and we're definitely going to get the neckbeards in the comments. But also, it's about standards, right? So if your gun chronos 400 FPS and your field limit is 350, and you just put 4 O's in there to get it down below 350, your gun is still shooting the same. It's actually still hurting people.
Yeah, you're hitting like a Mack truck, you know.
This 100% falls into the don't be a douchebag category.
Yeah.
So, FUD lore.
Yeah.
And we hear that one a lot up here too. Oh, can I just drop it? A lot of times it's from guys that just don't know any different. They don't understand like why. But there are a lot of guys out there that vehemently believe that is fact and actually do it, and that concerns me.
Well, yeah, because like so long as it shoots at the legal limit, I'm good. It's
Okay.
like, you know.
So hey, this is my personal favorite. This is my favorite one I put on the list. If you just yell, "Call it!" they're definitely gonna call their hits, even if you missed. FUD lore, and holy cow, is that a common problem in outdoor airsoft?
Yeah.
Definitely less of an issue in speed QB or like speed soft scenarios. You're a lot closer, but this happens outdoor all the time. In the 15 years that I've been playing airsoft, I've seen this at least once every game I have ever played, unless I was playing a really small private game. And then even then, at some of those, I have seen it.
Well, yeah, like you're just watching BBs fall 15, 20 feet in front of you, and because it looked like it hit you from their perspective.
And you've got some super cock diesel, like, I'm going to be some no-neck having, super muscular, I'm hopped up on pre-workout, like, Viking-looking dude just shouting, "Call it! Call your hit, you son of a gun!" Or, like, Lord knows however many other expletives. And you're just sitting there like, dude, you're not even hitting me. That guy's probably a real gun FUD because his sights are on you, so he must be hitting you.
Yeah.
But it's not how that works, man. Like don't call other people's shots. It's ruins the game. Ruins it for everybody. And you don't know if you hit him. You have to trust him. It's an honor sport. Trust the other guy to be honorable. If you're the guy calling his hits, you're probably not calling yours somewhere else too. Guaranteed. Guaranteed you catch that guy cheating later.
And this one's one of my favorites is my camouflage makes me invisible. How could you see me? So like you'll get the guy that, you know,
the guy wearing AOR2 in the peak of the winter when everything's dead.
Yeah, you know, or the guy who swears that his multicam black while he's, you know, out in the middle of the sunlight is clearly invisible.
Yeah, the I wear cries I don't have to call my hits crowd.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's FUD lore. It kind of ties into the other ones though. These guns work like they do in real life. This falls more into the guys that are like, oh man, I want to get a support weapon, but I only really play weekend games. I'm not playing a lot of mil-sim. And then we say, well, hey, well, you know what? Take out like something like that. Say, for example, like the PXG9 with the drum mag. I think there's actually one sitting around behind us somewhere on this wall. Maybe, you know, it's actually a little bit over there. Yeah. But PXG9 with the drum mag, you can play with that like it's a saw. Is it a saw? No, not at all. But can it perform the same function in a game? Yeah. Absolutely.
Well, because all it needs to be a saw is
capable of delivering a copious amount of suppressive fire with extreme prejudice.
There you go.
Any gun with a drum mag can do that. The question is, does your field allow it?
Yeah.
FUD lore.
Let's see, next one. CO2 is inherently better than green gas.
Or the vice versa of this, I also see a lot too. Green gas is inherently better than CO2.
Yeah.
FUD lore. Neither gas is necessarily be-all, end-all superior.
Right.
So you see a lot of people that seem to think that one of these is better than the other, and that's because they had one good experience with one type and then just immediately assume, or they heard some bad science from their friends who thought like green gas was hard to buy or expensive, or like that propane will break your guns, and just didn't want to do all the research to see like what the truth of the matter is. It is so much more dependent on which guns you're comparing than it is the type of gas. For example, single stack 1911s, I always prefer CO2. The skinny magazines, at least in temperatures where the climate varies a lot, here in Texas, for example, like parts of the year, they're damn near unusable out here if it gets cold enough.
Yeah.
Conversely, the CO2 pretty much always is good to go. But if you buy a cheap, crappy like Walmart CO2 pistol, like it's going to shoot hot. You're not going to be able to play with it. But then you move into like green gas guns, like with high capas. Not always the case. Or the CZ P09. That's a good one, right? So like on green gas, it shoots field legal in the summer, but in the winter on CO2, it's perfect. However, in the summer on CO2, they actually hit a little hard for our local field limits. Yeah. So gun to gun, compare it gun to gun. Anyway, we're running out of time here, guys. There's a little bit of FUD lore. We're going to come back and definitely do another one of these again. So if you guys have got some things that you know are empirically airsoft FUD lore, make sure you guys drop them down in the comments below. If you like this video and you want to see more stuff like that, make sure you like, comment, subscribe, share it around, tell your buddies. My name's Dave.
I'm Matt.
You guys have been awesome, and this has been GITV Uncut. We'll see you guys next time.